real gavel after I don't know how many years of no gavel. But good evening, everyone. It's been a long time for us to get back here. It's always a pleasure to see so many smiling faces. I have to say, you all look a little taller than you did on the screen. Okay. Legislative Day number 20 will now come to order. Please pause for a moment of silent meditation. I'll now call upon Councilwoman Bevins to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. States of America, to the republic, to stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all. Is there a motion to approve the journal for the meeting of November the 7th?
I'll move it.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. The journal is approved. Enrollment of bills. Bill 68-22, 70-22, 71-22, 72-22, and 73-22 were passed by the council and signed by the executive and hereby enrolled. Mr. Secretary, will you now read all bills for introduction?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. First bill for introduction is Bill 7922, Current Expense Budget, Surplus Funding, Family Planning and Reproductive Health. Bill 80-22, Current Expense Budget, Homeless Solutions Program. Bill 81-22, Current Expense Budget, Workforce Solutions to Address Homelessness. Bill 82-22, Current Expense Budget, Senior Information and Assistance. Bill 83-22, Current Expense Budget, CLG Grant, Baltimore County Design Guidelines Update. Bill 84-22, the Comprehensive Zoning Map Process. And Bill 85-22, Membership Requirements for the Administrative Charging Committee. And those are the only bills for introduction, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. First item, please.
First bill for final reading and vote, Mr. Chairman, is Bill 74-22, Zoning Regulations, Off-Street Parking Requirements, sponsored by Councilman Jones.
Thank you very much. Basically, this bill 74-22 basically is an attempt to update the code. This code hasn't been updated in quite some time as it relates to parking. Today, we have some businesses that fall right in between what we ordinarily would consider, whether it be a warehouse store like a Home Depot or a department store like a Walmart or something like that. This building here, we're talking about Wood Floors Plus, is closer to something in between, and this is an attempt to correct the parking requirements. They don't need as much as like a Walmart, but maybe they need something closer to something that I think the closest thing we have in our regulations is like a furniture store or carpet store, where you have people buying big lots of items, and you can't go in there and buy anything small. And the reason the parking requirements are changed because it's not like you have as many customers as you may have as like a Walmart, but you have this big giant store. So they require them to have so many parking spaces because of the size of the store, which is basically a warehouse and a store at the same time, is sort of unfair. And my goal, of course, is to help redevelop Ricestown Road, one of our older corridors, and this is going to help make that happen by bringing a Wood Floors Plus there. Prior to me putting in this legislation, I met with the director of PAI and explained to him the scenario. We discussed it, and he agreed that a lot of the codes need to be updated and that he just didn't have time to do them all, but he certainly support this change. So that's where we are. Are there any questions? Do we have any Any additional questions? None. I will make a motion to pass the bill.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Bill 74-22.
Mr. Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Marks,
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins,
Aye.
Mr. Crandall,
Aye.
Mr. Quirk,
Aye.
Mr. Patoka,
Aye.
Mr. Catch.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Bill 74-22 is passed. Next bill, Mr. Secretary.
Next, Mr. Chairman, is Bill 75-22, sponsored by Councilwoman Bevins, zoning regulations, uses permitted in the ML zone, residential uses on adjacent streets.
Councilwoman Bevins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have to apologize. Last week for the work session on this bill, I was absent. COVID finally got me. So I think that, Tom, did you go over the technical parts of the bill at the work session? Okay. Okay, all right.
I did go over them.
And there were
Bevins.
no questions from anyone or,
I don't believe so.
okay, all right.
And
So-
Mr. Karseski also testified and
Okay, very good. So for me, this is just another opportunity to create another mixed-use project in the 6th District, and this would be at the Avenue at White Marsh. And basically, they will be raising a restaurant that is currently there, and of course, they have a lot of blacktop behind there that, you know, when they build these big shopping centers, they always have way too much parking and that people don't use. So there's a lot of blacktop that'll be used, and there will be a residential mixed use there with the retail. And as we know, whether it's the Metro Center or Hunt Valley, this has really been working across Baltimore County when you're able to bring people to where they can shop and, you know, one stop. They come home, they park, and they can walk to get their groceries or to get their hair cut or to go to the store. So we know that this works, and it's really an important time for revitalization of the White Marsh Mall area, although the avenue is separate from the mall. But I think it's a really nice opportunity, again, in the 6th District. So I thank you for your consideration and support.
Okay. Any questions? Mr. Chairman. Yes. Councilman Lowe.
Thank you very much. You know, there's a lot of exciting things happening in the White Marsh Town Center. The Avenue is a true destination and is attracting, you know, tens of thousands of families every weekend. I do think we need to start thinking about a vision for the White Marsh Town Center, like we're doing at Security. The mall was built in the early 1980s. It is, as you mentioned, Councilwoman, deteriorating in many ways, and that should be the focus of county government over the next few years is developing that vision and bringing stakeholders together to create that sort of master plan.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, Councilman Marks. Any additional questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve Bill 75-22?
I'll move it.
I'll second it. It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Bill 75-22.
Mr. Jones,
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins,
Aye.
Mr. Crandall,
Aye.
Mr. Quirk,
Aye.
Mr. Patoka,
Aye.
Mr. Catch,
Aye.
Mr. Marks.
Aye.
Thank you.
Ayes have it. Bill 75-22 is passed. Mr. Secretary, next bill, please.
Thank you, everyone.
Next, Mr. Chairman, is Bill 76-22, sponsored by Councilman Marks, zoning regulations, uses permitted in the BR zone, Commercial Town Center Core District.
Councilman Marks.
Well, thank you very much. As you all know, special regulations for CT districts relate to apartments and elderly housing facilities. Bill 7622 clarifies the applicability of the special regulations for CT districts in a BR zone to include a property that's within an employment center is designated on the land management area map in the most recent master plan, is located within 500 feet of a right-of-way associated with the Baltimore Beltway, and does not abut property containing a single-family dwelling. The focus of this bill really is to continue to spur revitalization in the Loch Raven Boulevard corridor.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments?
Is there an amendment, Mr. Boswick?
I don't believe there is an amendment. No, Mr. Marks.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a motion to approve Bill 76-22?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Bill 76-22.
Mr. Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Crandall,
Aye.
Mr. Marks,
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins,
Aye.
Mr. Catch,
Aye.
Mr. Patoka,
Aye.
Mr. Quirk.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Bill 76-22 is passed. Mr. Secretary, next bill, please.
Mr. Chairman, Bill 77-22 was withdrawn prior to the meeting this evening. This was the bill sponsored by Mr. Marks, known as Metropolitan District Connection Benefit Charges on Irregularly Shaped Lots, and it was withdrawn by Councilman Marks.
Thank you. Councilman Marks, any comments?
Yeah. I just want to urge the administration to continue working with me on this issue, which affects properties in the Perry Hall Manor region. We did not want to pass legislation that was overly broad, but if the administration just could continue to work with me, I would appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilman Marks. Mr. Secretary, next bill, please.
Next, Mr. Chairman, excuse me, is Bill 78-22. This bill is sponsored by the administration as well as Councilman Quirk, additions to the Baltimore County landmarks list.
Councilman Quirk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just very briefly, Bill 78-22 proposes to amend the final landmarks list by adding the Oak Grove and setting approximately 0.8 acres at 1822 Frederick Road in Catonsville. And I just want to thank the Department of Planning for their great work. Also, Rob Brennan and his group do fine work. So I'm not aware of any community opposition. Matter of fact, the only people I'm aware of all support this. So I just ask my colleagues for their support in this addition to the Baltimore County landmarks list. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Quirk. Director Steve Lafferty, would you like to come up and testify?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the county council. I'll just reiterate Councilman Quirk's comments that the Oak Grove and setting property on in Catonsville really is associated with the development of Catonsville itself. There was no opposition stated. The property owner was the one who brought this forward, and we request approval of Bill 78-22.
Thank you, Mr. Lafferty. Any questions or comments from the members? Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Bill 78-22.
Mr. Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Quirk,
Yes.
Mr. Patoka,
Aye.
Mr. Catch,
Aye.
Mr. Marks,
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins,
Aye.
Mr. Crandall.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Bill 78-22 is passed. The council will now consider all fiscal matters. Extensive testimony was taken at the council's work session on November the 15th. The witnesses who testified at the work session is available to restate their testimony if needed. I'll now call upon the secretary to read the cover letter for fiscal matters 1 through 3 and 5 through 10.
Mr. Chairman, fiscal matter 1 is a contract with Acme Auto Leasing LLC. Fiscal matter 2 is a contract with Glass Health Programs Incorporated, doing business as MedMark Treatment Centers. Fiscal matter 3 is a memorandum of understanding with the Maryland Transportation Authority. Fiscal matter 5 is an amendment to a contract with the law offices of Lisa M. Harris, doing business as Harris, Jones, and Malone LLC. Fiscal matter 6 is a contract with Blaze Guard Commercial Services LLC. Fiscal matter 7 is a lease with Stevenson University Incorporated. Fiscal matter 8 is a contract with PCs for People. Fiscal matter 9 is an agreement with Collaborative Solutions LLC. And fiscal matter 10 is a contract with Axon Enterprises Incorporated.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the members?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Councilman Mark.
I do want to draw everyone's attention to fiscal matter 3. And permit me to spend a minute or two talking about this. In 2008, the Maryland Transportation Authority acquired the Rutkowski Farm in Kingsville for a maintenance facility, which was a extremely poor choice in that this would be located in the middle of a very rural community. I have been working for the past 8 years to try to execute a land swap in which we would trade the Rutkowski Farm, where this facility is proposed, for county property next to I-95, moving the maintenance yard right next to the highway. This has been supported by the Greater Kingsville Civic Association, by all the state legislators, and now we're on the threshold of approving the county's part of this. This is a great deal for Baltimore County. The county is trading 25.4 acres for the state property of 35.7 acres. We are getting $2.7 million. I mean, this is a terrific transaction. And it is a splendid example of what happens when both levels of government work together, Republican and a Democratic administration, to get things done. So I want to thank from the state, Governor Hogan, his staff, Secretary Jim Ports, and the Maryland Transportation Authority, but I want to especially thank from our end, the County Executive Olszewski, CAO Stacy Rogers, Director of Recreation and Parks, Director Rosalind Johnson, everyone who's involved with this. This is a terrific deal for Kingsville. You deserve a tremendous amount of credit, so thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Our pleasure, sir.
Any additional questions or comments?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to make a comment about fiscal matter 7, Stevenson University.
Okay.
So this is located in the 2nd District, and I think this is, I'm very supportive of this item. I think it's a continuation of the work that we did 2 years ago as a council. We had a pretty robust discussion on police reform, and one of the things I think we all can agree upon is that the better trained our police department is, the better they're able to respond to issues that they'll confront as they respond to a call. So I think that the county has done well to lease such a fine facility so that we can have adequate training for public safety entities, both the police department and the fire department. So just wanted to share that out of our robust discussion, the county has, the executive department has responded, and I hope that we respond as a council in a positive way to make our department, our police department, and our fire department the best trained in the region.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Councilman Quirk.
Yeah, just very briefly on fiscal matter 5. I mean, I did listen to Ms. Rogers, and I do think she made some good points, you know, given some of the transition issues. You know, I do hope in the future, as much as we can, try to bring some of this in-house. But I get the situation. I do. I thought your testimony is helpful in the work session. And I mean, I think they do a good job. I mean, Lisa Harris, Sean Malone, they do good work. I do think the county council did kind of pave a way for a great example of doing more things in-house when they did the Comcast negotiations. That was a great job by the people that worked on it. And so the more we can bring things in-house, the more we'll save the taxpayers. But I do think Ms. Rogers made a valid point in the work session. So I just want to state that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Quirk.
Thank you, sir.
Any additional questions or comments?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just to follow up on Councilman Quirk's observations and comments, as bringing on Harris Malone to this, to again act as labor commissioner for the county, I think it'd be helpful for the executive department, as new folks come on, to sit with Harris Malone so that 2 years from now, we'll be in a position where we can do it in-house.
Yes, Ms. Rogers.
Thank you, Councilmember Toka, but we do absolutely do joint sessions with them. And our goal is to really help the employees that we have now. We have a new labor relations person who's really good, but just needs that experience because we have millions of dollars that go into these discussions, and having that, expertise, that top level expertise to help us in our decision making, because they don't make the decisions for us. For example, we were in a discussion today on a topic that we have to make a decision on this year, and they shared their points. We take it into consideration, but we need that level of expertise in trying to get our newer employees who are charged with this role up to speed is exactly what we're trying to do.
That's great. I mean, there's a certain nuance related to negotiations, and this company does it particularly well. And I think that we also could do it particularly well as we learn for lack of a better term, the vocabulary of labor negotiations that this firm is expertise in.
It's a true skill set. It is, and we want the best because we want to make the best decisions for the county and our taxpayers, and to work with labor in an effective, thoughtful way. So thank you. We
Thank you
greatly
as well.
appreciate it.
Any additional questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve fiscal matters 1 through 3 and 5 through 10?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on fiscal matters 1 through 3 and 5 through 10.
Mr. Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Patoka,
Aye.
Mr. Catch,
Aye.
Mr. Quirk,
Aye.
Mr. Crandall,
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins,
Aye.
Mr. Marks.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Fiscal matters 1 through 3 and 5 through 10 are approved. We'll now consider all miscellaneous business. Mr. Secretary, first item, please.
Mr. Chairman, whenever a contract over $25,000 is awarded by a process other than formal competitive bid, it is required that the nature and parties to the contract be announced by the Secretary at the next legislative session following award. There are 3 such agreements on the docket this evening. The first is a purchase order with Maryland Cleaning and Abatement Services Corporation for emergency-led abatement and cleaning services at the indoor firing range. $128,000 to $128,200. The next one is a purchase order with Worldwide Distributors Incorporated for antigen self-test COVID kits. This agreement is in the amount of $768,750. And finally, the last one is with a purchase order with Gray Shift LLC. This is actually very interesting when I was reading this. Gray Shift's Gray Key device and software, this is for the police department. It allows the forensics unit to specifically unlock Apple mobile devices, even if password protected. It's the only device that has this ability, and it also has the ability to extract information even when the phone is locked. This technology is unique to Gray Shift, and this, of course, enables the forensics lab to obtain valuable evidence that would otherwise be unobtainable. Amount of $46,070.
Wonder how long that'll work. I'd imagine it probably work as long as they realize it's working, and then it won't work.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if I can ask a question about that one.
Go ahead.
Mr. Bostwick, I'm sorry if I missed it. This is for the police department?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Next, Mr. Chairman, is Resolution 47-22. This is a resolution requesting council support of an application to the state of Maryland for the designation of a regional institution strategic enterprise, or RISE zone at Towson University.
Okay. Mr. Todd Dublin. Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Howie. Are there any questions or comments from the members? Councilman Morris?
Thank you. Mr. Boswick, I am the sponsor, correct?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's been an absolute honor to represent Towson for the past 12 years, and our councilman-elect Mike Hertel is here, and I'm sure Towson will be in good hands under his stewardship. Towson has undergone a remarkable transformation since 2010. Many factors have produced this: entrepreneurs, outstanding institutions of higher learning. I think the council had a key role. I think County Executive Kevin Kamenetz and County Executive Moeller and County Executive Olszewski have played critical roles. And this takes it one step further. So it's my pleasure to support this resolution.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Secretary, I still have to move the amendment, or has the bill been rewritten to?
No,
It will be an amendment,
Okay, okay.
but Mr. Howie described the amendment exactly.
Yeah, okay. I just want to explain, about 3 years ago, I introduced legislation to expand the Towson redevelopment district, because if you go out York Road from the Beltway, you'll see that it's in really good shape. I mean, it's a good looking corridor, and however, the area from the Beltway up to Seminary, there were some issues. So that's why I put this extension of Towson redevelopment. However, if you go up there today, you'll see that this redevelopment property tax credit has worked. And you'll see where buildings and have been redeveloped, and it's a good job. And so and I think I know my constituents, we think Towson University belongs in Towson, and we're not supportive of Towson spreading out. So that's why I have this amendment in to take this section out of the original bill. This area we're talking about is under a lot of stress. The MTA is proposing an extension of the light rail, which is extremely controversial. And also there's the Lutherville Station, which is the site of the old Caldor in Lutherville. And there's a lot of concern in the community about proposals for that as well. So that's why I've proposed this amendment, and I don't think it should do any damage to the program. So I thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilman Katz. Any additional comments or questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'm not clear. Are we on the amendment or we're not?
We haven't got to, the amendment is going to be first. Is that what
Okay,
you-
yeah.
Is that what you're asking? Yeah. Any additional questions, comments? So we will,
I'll move it.
is there a motion to approve the amendment?
Yeah.
Limiting the size as discussed by Director Howard.
I move the amendment.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on the amendment to to Resolution 47-22.
Mr. Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Catch,
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins,
Aye.
Mr. Patoka,
Aye.
Mr. Crandall,
Aye.
Mr. Marks,
Aye.
Mr. Quirk.
Aye.
Ayes have it. The amendment to Resolution 47-22 is passed. Is there any additional questions or comments?
The only thing I would add, sir, is the map, the original map will now be replaced by this amended map reflecting the amendment that you all just passed.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 47-22 as amended?
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Resolution 47-22 as amended.
Mr. Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Catch,
Aye.
Mr. Marks,
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins,
Aye.
Mr. Crandall,
Aye.
Mr. Quirk,
Aye.
Mr. Patoka.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Resolution 47-22 as amended is passed. And now I would like to just take this opportunity to say how it has certainly been, this is the last legislative session of of this term. And I'd like to start by just talking about Councilman Quirk for a minute. He and Councilwoman Bevins have certainly imprinted themselves on this council for the last 12 years. And it has been my absolute honor and privilege to work with them, to learn from them. You're going to be missed. Councilman Quirk, I can't tell you the expertise that you bring to the council in terms of finances has been very helpful for our understanding. And the truth of the matter is, Director Blades takes some weight off you, because if he can answer questions for me, then I don't have to call you. But his guidance in terms of financing has been extremely helpful, and we're going to absolutely miss you an awful lot. And as it relates to Councilwoman Bevins, Kathy, we all love you. We love you too, Tom. But Kathy brings a perspective, as everybody can see, the only woman, and she never lets us forget it. And she always reminds us where our place as men are, which is behind the women. And she wears her heart on her sleeve. She's tenacious about fighting for her constituents. And she never let us forget why we're here. And she just does a fantastic job. One thing about Kathy, Kathy is a straight shooter. There's no filters. So sometimes you're going to get it, but the next day she's going to love you just the same. So I've always appreciated that. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to just thank you both for serving the citizens. I tell you, it's not easy doing this job. And unless you do it, you'll just never know how difficult it is. When you do a great job, there's always somebody there to tell you how terrible the world is, and it's somehow all your fault. So, it's not easy doing this job. And I guess thank you both for stepping up and doing the job. Everybody's an expert. Everybody can tell you what we should have done, could have done it. What is it? How the strong man stumbles and the critic, the doer of deeds, but only the people in the arena actually knows what it's like. And I can tell you, it's been a pleasure serving with you. And I can tell you, I'm trying not to get into too deep, but, you know, a couple of times, Kathy, you sort of had it rough by some of our colleagues, some of our critics. But that said, tonight is your celebration. Tonight, we appreciate you. And I guess wanted to take an opportunity to thank you both for serving the citizens of Baltimore County the way you have. And now I'll leave it up to my colleagues to say something nice.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Councilman.
Thank you, Chairman Jones. And first, I certainly appreciate the last 8 years serving with Kathy and Tom. The one problem I do have is, for some reason, Tom represents my family. I have never been in a district where anybody in my family lives, except for my wife. So I don't know what that says about me, but, and this is my 48th year in elected office. So, 48 years, no one in my family has ever been in my district. So anyhow, but Tom, I appreciate all the work that you've done in the first district. Very familiar with Catonsville, I was raised in the city near Catonsville, so I know the area. And as I said, my family lives there. And I appreciate the job that you've done so much, your work to provide open space. And hopefully you or your successor will do something about the Old Frederick Road, that intersection, and the mountain of dirt that apparently is going to cave in one day. So anyway, I appreciate that very much. And your guidance and your help when it comes to budget matters. Because, we have a tremendous responsibility with a huge budget in Baltimore County. And we got to make sure that the money we spend, we can afford to spend it. We got to make sure that if we're going to float bonds, that we can afford the debt service that is going to happen and in the future. And your guidance has been very helpful in that regard. And I wish you well. And I hope you're going to travel or do something. Are you going to work yourself? That sounds good. And you need to travel. Take them to the Christmas markets in Europe this year. They're fantastic. Sound good. And Kathy, it's been a pleasure serving with you as well. I know both Kathy and Tom have excellent constituent service. I know that. And, I've learned from them. I know I have excellent constituent service because I hear it all the time. And it's so important because we all care about people. And if you care about people, if they have a problem and you can solve it, you're going to do it. And you need a good staff in order to do that. So, and I regret that I didn't get over to your district for you to show me around. I don't know, times get so, how time flies when you're having fun. So, anyhow, I'm sorry I didn't get over there. I'm very familiar with Dundalk because I taught there, as you know, because you went to the same middle school where I taught, only you were a little after me. So, you were. Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. I'll have to look at the yearbook and see a picture of you.
Same waving hair, just shorter.
Well, I dye my hair, like to look more mature, so hopefully it works. But I certainly wish you well. I hope that once your mobility issues are resolved, that you're going to travel, do things that are fun. And next year, I'd recommend the Christmas markets in Europe. They're phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And, it's do things you want to do and enjoy life, and the same to you, Tom. And I thank you very much for your 8 years on the council. well, 12, right? It's 12 for both of you, for your 12 years on the council. And I wish you all the best.
Councilman Marks?
Well, thank you. I think Teddy Roosevelt is your favorite Republican president, right? Yeah, one of my favorite too. And the quote is really instructive, and I'm going to paraphrase where it says man, we should say man or woman, right? It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or whether the doer of deeds could have done them better. Credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, comes short again and again, because there's no effort without error and shortcoming. And, all of us do our best here, and it's a tough, difficult process. We all have our accomplishments and things we wish we'd done better. But Baltimore County is better, I think, because of our service. With your retirement, I'm the last member of the class of 2010. I'm not making it about me. I'm not making it about me, but the 12 years passes by in a blink of an eye. It really does. I want to thank Kathy. I want to thank you for a number of things. First, schools. We were at Rossville Elementary School recently for the ribbon cutting there, and I think I remarked that 5 new schools have opened in northeastern Baltimore County, and our communities overlap. So we have often worked together across party lines to get that done. I want to thank you for your work with the Greenlee property, which is a good example of master planning. It's an employment center for Middle River, yeah, and your steadfast service to this county. You work very, very hard. And Tom, I'll echo what the chairman said. Thank you for your fiscal expertise. You've been a leader in this council in really guiding us through some very tough waters. For your work on land use and planning, bicycle routes and sidewalks and pedestrian connections. Your overall seriousness with what you pursued, stronger, healthier communities. It has been a pleasure serving with both of you, and I will miss you very much.
Thank you. Let me just say, to be fair to you, Councilman Work, I gave you a lot of credit for the fiscal issues, but the reality is we work extremely well together in the west and southwest corridors of Baltimore County, working together to tackle issues that was very important to our joint communities. And it was never an issue in terms of where the lines fell. We always work together on all of those issues. So I thank you so much for that. So on that note,
Mr. Chair,
yes.
just wanted to thank Councilman Quirk and Councilwoman Bevins for their 12 years of service. I'm just finishing up my first term, and it's a really hard job. And to multiply that times 3, that's threefold as difficult as doing it just for one term. And Councilman Quirk, I did admire the level of fiscal expertise that you brought to the council. And now with Ed Blades moving on to greener pastures, we're going to have to figure this thing out. And let me just say something about Councilwoman Bevins. So
wait till I get started, Izzy.
well, Councilwoman Bevins did something precedent setting that has never been done in council before. And I don't know if anyone recognizes this. When you were chair, Councilwoman Bevins, Kathy, you had the experience that no chair ever had. Like we as human beings we have lots of skill sets and lots of capabilities, but the one thing we cannot do is read people's minds to see what they think of us in real time. And when Kathy was chair, when Councilwoman Bevins was chair, this thing, COVID-19, happened in March of 2020. And we went into a virtual mode and we all had to adjust into this virtual setting. But the reason I say that Councilwoman Bevins had, I don't know if it was I view it as a challenge. I guess it's an opportunity, but I think it was more of a challenge is in real time. Right now, I don't know what anyone thinks right now in this room, but in real time, on the sidebar of our council meetings was a chat column. And people would chat to everyone. So on words that were said by the chairperson, for the first time that I know in government, we could read everyone's minds. And so people gave us in real time what they thought of each one of us. And to manage that, I think you did very well to work through that challenging situation. So I just wanted to say thank you for your years of service and taking us through that transition of, and now it feels weird because it feels like we're transitioning in another way back to normal sessions, and I hope it does continue on. But that was a really interesting time, and I think you did well to lead us through that with everyone expressing their opinions on every word that was said by each of us.
We all know I'm on poker face, so we all know.
Yeah. You need to work on that poker face now. So, but thank you so much for all that you've done to benefit and help Baltimore County grow. And thank you, Tom, for what you've done to help Baltimore County grow.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, sir. Councilman Kramer?
It's always hard to match the eloquence of my colleagues and a lot of the things that I was going to say. Get out of my face, Kathy. They didn't put this here for COVID. They put this here to keep you away from it. Like I said, it's hard to match the eloquence of my colleagues, and a lot of the things that I was prepared to say have already been said, and I think each one of them are true. So I want both of you to, Wade gave you some advice to travel, enjoy life, enjoy your families, because this is a stressful job and it's a time-consuming job. But my advice to you is to have the perspective of, hey, difficult times, difficult decisions. Not everybody's always happy with everything that you've done. However, the job is really, really rewarding. And if you remember that, remember the rewarding parts of it, I think that your retirement will be that much better. I want to say about Councilman Quirk. I got on the council, was it 8 years ago now, right? And I noticed one of the first things I noticed anyway, was how the council worked together. And I noticed how Councilman Quirk and Councilman Marks had, in their first term, had worked in a bipartisan way on numerous issues. Creation of the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. I forgot. Yeah, and some other things too that you all worked on. And then, Tom, I'll also remember the letter, what was it, 2 budgets ago? The letter that you sent to the county executive in your role as chairman of SAC. And you may have saved us and the administration from making some bad decisions as we headed into that budget. And I know that you then worked with the administration to work out some of those numbers, and we had to make some really difficult decisions and really difficult cuts. But I think in the end that those things all worked out appropriately. So Tom, I do thank you for your service. I know that you are an extremely busy person. You're very successful in your business life out in the real world, I'll say. So congratulations on time well served in the service of the people of Baltimore County. And I will not share the inappropriate texts that you and I, when we're venting and things, and that was fun too. So I appreciate the discourse that you and I have had over the last 8 years. So, Kathy, I've learned a lot from Tom, and I've learned a lot from you. Mostly from you, how not to do things. That's not true. So Kathy and I have, we both have Dundalk roots, so we speak the same language. We have that bond. And there's so many stories that I can recall over the last 8 years in working with Kathy. Um, Most of them I couldn't get by the censor, so I'm just going to leave that alone. But I remember when remember we were going through the air conditioning schools, and we still had about 25 schools or so that needed air conditioning. We were all fighting for for our districts, for the for our kids in our districts, and Kathy was certainly fighting for hers. I was fighting for mine. And county executive cabinets called the entire council and the entire county delegation into a meeting downstairs where he announced his prioritization of school reconstruction, school rehab, and air conditioning. And I wasn't a very happy camper after that meeting. And Kathy and I got into it out in the hallway. Do you remember this? So I won't explain what the argument was about or anything, but Kathy and I are yelling expletives at each other. And I looked around, and every elected official in Baltimore County is just staring at us. And then the next day we made up and we worked together and we talked about something else completely different. And that, Julian, what you said about Kathy was absolutely right. You can get into it, and we've had some knockdown dragouts, good ones. But we always make up and get the job done. And last thing I'll say about constituent services, being a neighbor district, the 6th and the 7th, and with redistricting happen, sometimes people would be confused about who their representative was, and we would get people from the 6th district that would call our office, and we would refer those constituents over to Councilwoman Bevan's office. And I can't tell you how many times someone got back to us and said, hey, they got right on it. They took care of that problem. So Kathy, you've devoted a major portion of your life to public service. You were in public service even before you were councilwoman. So we all thank you for your work and your efforts and your devotion to Baltimore County. Thank you. All right. Mr. Chair, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Crandall. Tom Boswick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to say my heartfelt thanks to both of you, Mr. Quirk and Mrs. Bevins. I've been with the council as long as you all have, and I was lucky enough to be hired by the county council and by Tom Petticord in 2011 when Mrs. Bevins, Mr. Quirk, Mr. Marks, Vicki Almond, and Todd Huff came in as 5 new people. And, we all sort of evolved in the job together, you as council members and me as your attorney or your legislative lawyer. And I feel very gratified to have been a part of that, for you all to have put your trust in me to do the work for you that needed to be done, and for me to evolve in the job, and to, then get further trust by succeeding Mr. Petticord. And I know that took everybody, but it seems like we started off together. So I really, really appreciate everybody, but on this night, at least, particularly Mr. Quirk and Mrs. Bevins. So I don't know what else to say, but thank you. And we don't have any flowers for Tom, but we do have some flowers for Mrs. Bevins.
And it's orange. Look at that orange. Orange. Yeah.
Okay. Well, really, really fast. I'll be remiss if I did not acknowledge Ed Blades and Rob O'Connor, 2 gentlemen that have given, how many years have you been here, Ed? 30 years, Rob? 24 years and 30 years, where we get to 54 years of service to Baltimore County. And I guess I want to thank you both so very, very much for putting in the time and working for the citizens of Baltimore County. You both have been tremendous assets to Baltimore County, tremendous assets to me. I could call upon you anytime, and no matter how complex the issue is, whether it be this computer or some budgetary item, you both gave me the time of day, and explained it to me in terms that I could understand. And I think that made me and all the rest of us members be able to do a better job at our job. So thank you so much. We wish you well. Bye.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
is it possible for us to, with Mr. Blades and Mr. O'Connor, that they would need council approval to retire?
I think we can fix that. They need council approval to take the job. I don't see why we can't make it council approval to leave the job.
Right. I move they not be allowed to retire.
Second.
I
Moved and
agree.
seconded.
I agree with that.
And is this, we can do this?
We can do it.
Good, good. Sounds good. I vote yes.
I've never seen Rob O'Connor sweat before.
But Mr. Blades is a real advocate for the third district because that's where he lives. And I appreciate that. And Mr. O'Connor, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your efforts and your office's efforts to bring internet service to rural northern Baltimore County. I see you had this bill in today or whatever it was, dealing with the fixing up. Yeah, what's it called? PC? Right, okay. And I'm thinking, well, that's all well and good, but not all my constituents in Baltimore County can connect to the internet. But you have no idea how much OIT has done working with the state, working with the county to get internet for northern Baltimore County. And I want to thank both of you so much. And, you can't retire. We just voted. You got to stay. You got to stay. But thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Rogers?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would be remiss if I did not say when Mr. Blades told me I did have to call employee assistance for some therapeutic help. Mr. Blades and I work the most together besides Ms. Peoples, and I felt a great sense of abandonment. But I do understand and wish him well. And for Mr. O'Connor, we work constantly because, IT is the undergirding of, government or any operations. Technology plays such a big role. So I have had to get some employee assistance with the departure of these two gentlemen because we work hand in hand on so many things. So it is a tremendous loss for me. I hope I can extend my therapeutic assistance for a few more sessions to figure out how I will do without them. I care for them deeply as colleagues and as friends. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. And before we finish, I'd like to thank Mr. Mike Ertel for stopping in today. Thank you for being here and thank you for stepping up and running for office. And we look forward to working with you. And before I move on, what I would like to do is give the last words of this council meeting to Councilwoman Bevins and Councilman Quirk. They will do the last words, and then I'll ask one of them to ask about any further business to come before the council when the last one is done. That way you two will have the last words as we shut this out.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for their kind words from all my colleagues up here. It's been a wonderful journey for me. In 2004, I had a wonderful opportunity to go to work for the Smith administration, and it was a challenge. I didn't know what I was doing, but obviously County Executive Smith saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And I ended up loving that job. And so when the opportunity came before me in 2010 to run for office, never dreaming in a million years that I would win. Never in a million years did I think that I would win, but I did everything that I was told to do. I worked really hard. I think I knocked on about 11,000 doors in 2010 and got elected. And then again in 14 and again in 18. And not only have I sat here with my colleagues that are here tonight, but former Councilman Todd Huff and Councilman Oliver, Councilman Oshesky, and my friend, Councilman Vicky Almond. And so there's been a lot of personalities that have sat on this dais, and I'm pretty sure that when we all came on board, us 5 new ones in 2010, Tom Petticore was beside himself with these 5 new personalities, and of course, my colorful language and no filter. And I don't think he'd ever seen anything like that before. So that was challenging for Mr. Petticore in itself. It is a hard job. It's a very, very hard job. And people don't know it until they get here, how hard it is. Tom, you have been wonderful from the beginning. First meeting I ever had with Tom Quirk, we were at Winter Mako. And he said, I want to join you for lunch. I want you to join me for lunch. I want to talk about really exciting legislation for Baltimore County. And I met him for lunch and we started talking about transgender bathrooms. And I had no idea what that was going to turn into. Tom, I've never forgiven you for that. And I had a song written about me that year and a bomb threat. So thank you so much, Mr. Quirk, for that one. But for the most part, all of us have worked really closely together to really try to enhance each other's districts, enhance legislation that helps people across the county, whether it's personal or business. And I've had the honor of being the chair 3 times, which was really something. And as Councilman Patoka said, during the pandemic, it was very difficult at first, just first to have 3 devices going in your kitchen and getting everybody hooked up and people having 3-minute conversations on mute and their videos off. And it was hard, but we ended up doing it. And we ended up continuing to serve the people of Baltimore County. We did redistricting that way. We did rezoning that way. And we did our council meetings and our work sessions that way. So I'm really proud of the work that's been done here. I have some friends that I know for life. And Julian, you've been a great friend and a really wonderful chair as well. And even when David and Todd and I and even Wade politically don't agree, we still agree for the good things for our district. So that 98% of the time really is what matters, not the 2%. And Todd was only mad because I got all my schools air conditioned and he didn't. Okay, so that's what that fight was about. So it's been a wild journey and I really appreciate everybody who has helped me along the way. Chief Homan's here tonight and he was one of those people over in the fire department that was very gracious to me and put me to work over there. So it's nice that you're here tonight, Chief. Thanks for being here. So I have wonderful things planned with my family. I just got my acceptance email from the zoo today. I'm now going to be a volunteer at the Baltimore Zoo, so I'm really excited about that. And I'm going to be a volunteer at Franklin Square Hospital. So I have wonderful, purposeful things to look forward to. And I'm going to miss all of you. And I might watch it from time to time. You know, I might see what's happening. So plan on staying connected a little bit. But thank you all for your friendships and your service and all the people of Baltimore County. It has really been a wonderful journey for me for the last almost 20 years to be in public service. Thank you.
Well, Councilman Crandall, I don't text at all during work sessions or legislative sessions ever. So I'm not sure what you meant.
No, just at 1 a.m. on Saturday nights.
That's right.
Whatever that was.
But well, okay, just I'll try to be very brief. Councilman Patoka, this last term, I know our work sessions and our legislative sessions go a little longer than the second term or the first term. I'm not sure the correlation there or not.
There is.
But it's in all seriousness, it's been great working with you. You're very passionate for your citizens and for your constituents, and so it's been good. Councilman Catch, I think we fought a lot the first term, but then the second term, I think we basically agreed on almost everything. So it was nice to really get to know you as a person, and of course, Western Maryland College graduate as well, which is great. And so, yeah, it was really a good last 4 or 5 years for sure. And Chairman Jones, I mean, we do share a lot of same constituents. I mean, they really are. It was always easy. Anything that dealt with the areas we represented, it was always easy 2 votes, and we always worked well together. And I'm sure we'll stay in close touch even after this stuff. And yeah, so it's been a good time together. And Councilman Marks, I mean, we have gone out and drank a few beers from time to time. We've had a lot of lots of different things happen in the last 12 years for sure. Politically, I mean, personally, everything, lots of stuff happened last 12 years for sure. But I'm sure we'll keep in touch, and I do appreciate working together on many different bipartisan issues and policies. It was a lot of fun. And Kathy, we came in together, we're leaving together, and definitely appreciate our friendship. And Kathy and and Siri worked together for many years together, even before the county council. And I'm sure we'll definitely stay in close touch. And it's been a wild ride, that's for sure. And one thing about Kathy Bevins is you always know exactly what she's thinking at all times. And that's good, because it's very, very, where Kathy is, she's there. And if she says she's voted one way, always. And so it's been a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun a long time ago with the whole crew, and whether Michael Paul or Jim Smith or that whole group, Gordon, I remember Gordon Hart, and the whole Vicky Allman, like it was a lot of fun. And then in Todd Crandall, we do have a lot of, I think, fun texting back and forth, and I mostly me texting you and you telling me I'm crazy. But yeah, I mean, the one thing, Todd, I mean, you've been known to vote no a few times on the council, just a couple, and but it's never been personal. Like, I mean, we've got into it a few times, like all of us have. I mean, but it's always been very collegial, and had a lot of fun as well. And so, I mean, I think it's been an honor and privilege to serve the constituents of District 1, Southwest Baltimore County, and other constituents around the county. I see my friend Jeff Budnitz in the back, and I mean, anybody who knows Jeff knows he really is truly the ultimate citizen, gets involved in so many things. And I think people like him really give me a lot of confidence about things going forward. More people that actively get engaged and step up. And so I mean, as mentioned, it's not always easy. I mean, this job, policymaker, I think the 7 of us have generally got along really well. I mean, we're generally bipartisan. There's very few things we really disagree on, but every once in a while, there's been some tough disagreements too. And sometimes not always easy, but when you're one of 7, it's super important to try to get along with everyone, because you're only one of 7. And so you might not vote with somebody at one point, but the very next vote, you might need them. And so you can't burn bridges. You got to work together. And I think we all have done that. I really do. Even in some tough battles we've had in the past, and we push past them, and that's good. And I think maybe the federal government might be able to learn a little bit from the local government in that respect. Let's hope. I mean, definitely wanted to just give a shout out to, Tom and Adam and Chris and Jamie and Christy. They've been phenomenally just great people, great partners. with our auditors, obviously Lauren and Liz and crew, our executive staff, I mean, the whole crew up here with us and of course, my family, I mean, Heather, Teddy, Sophie. It's not been easy. I mean, it's been a lot of time away from family. That's probably the hardest part about this job is the amount of time it will take every minute of every day. If you let it, it will, and it will consume you. And so you have to really guard your time with family and friends because, it's a very demanding job and takes every ounce of energy you want to give it. And so just trying to find more balance. And so I'm looking really forward to, going back into the private sector. Some say it pays maybe a bit, maybe tiny bit more than this job. So it would be fun to really just focus on my business and, really focus on actually doing things that normal people do, like watch TV or something, or like have time to actually do things like that, because I don't know, time has been really tough to find time to do much of anything except work. And so I'm looking forward to, more time with my kids and family and Heather and Bronte, Camille, the whole group. And that should be fun. And, but, I think when all said and done, I think the county, I wish the county all the best. I mean, it's fitting and good to go out with Ed Blades. I'm really appreciative of our work together and Rob O'Connor. I mean, talk about smart people. I mean, there's two of our super brains, and I think working on the budget was always much easier when Ed Blades came on board than beforehand. Much different experience, and so it was a lot of fun to learn from you, Ed, and really just a lot of fun just picking your brain and asking a billion questions, and thankfully you answered them, and then Lauren and Liz and the whole crew. I mean, it's been great. I mean, it's been a good ride, and I'm really looking forward to the private world and just friends and family and politics is good. I will say it can be a little, especially in the campaign world. I mean, even on the local level, it can be a little bit of a blood sport, unfortunately, at times. It really can. And there's some really tough people you got to deal with on the council sometimes, and it's a democracy, so you can't just ice them out. You got to sometimes talk to some pretty difficult people, but the good news is the vast majority of people are fair and reasonable, and they're the ones that make it all worthwhile. They really are. And thank God, many constituents out there are really reasonable, fair, good people that makes it a little easier to ignore some of the vocal minority. That sometimes makes it a little challenging, but with all that, it's again, honor, privilege, and it's been a great ride, 12 years. And I look forward to the work session where we sit through. Councilman-elect Ertel is going to be voting on the work session, but we'll sit there and we'll listen and then, maybe a little festivities afterward. But it's, again, I mean, it's been great working with all of you. And I wish you guys and Baltimore County great success. Thank you very much.
Chairman Jones, is there any further business to come before the council?
No.
You have to say this or motion. I'm not the chair. I'm not the chair. That we dismiss the meeting?
Yeah, is there a motion to adjourn?
Oh, can we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So
We-
So moved.
Second. All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye. All right, Sam. So, as is customary, anyone who is registered to speak online prior to the meeting is allowed 3 minutes to speak. Chris, is there any speakers?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have one speaker who is online this
Okay.
evening, so we're going to test this out. We have Ms. Carla Johnson, who is going to give her 3-minute testimony. Let me bring her on. Ms. Johnson, are you there? You can turn your camera on and unmute yourself.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Oh,
Okay, thank you.
hello. You may
Good
begin.
evening. My name is Carl. Can you hear me?
Yes.
You can hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. My name is Carla Johnson, and I live in Parkville District 6. I'm grateful that this body provides constituents like me with an opportunity to freely speak about the topic of our choosing. The body to whom I wish to provide public input, however, has not to date provided your constituents with that opportunity. The Blue Ribbon Commission on Ethics and Accountability, which is studying the Office of Inspector General and Ethics Commission, has held 6 public meetings since June the 3rd. Note, 3 other meetings were canceled. 2 are scheduled within the next month. 2 subcommittees have held meetings offline during which elected officials, appointees, and government employees have had the opportunity to speak with commissioners. The County Council approved an almost $100K contract with the Schaefer Center to staff this Blue Ribbon Commission. Essentially, my tax dollars are helping foot the bill, yet I haven't been given a public venue in which to provide input. I think it's important to note that the Blue Ribbon Procurement Commission sought and provided opportunity for public input. My ask for the commissioners, please schedule a public input session and notify the taxpayers of Baltimore County the date and time as soon as possible. Your last meeting is less than 1 month away on December 13th, and we all know we're entering a busy holiday season. The 5 items I've taken away from the commission meetings in my own research. 1, the OIG must be protected by being written into the charter. 2, change how the OIG is funded. Designate a minimum % of the general fund to be allocated to the office. 3, ensure the OIG has access to independent counsel. 4, separate the Ethics Commission. And 5, based on my research and some of the presenters, I don't see the need for an oversight or governing board. Most local OIGs do not have one. Again, I appreciate this body's time this evening. I appreciate all your service, and I wish Councilwoman Bevins, my current representative, and Mr. Quirk the best of luck in the future.
Okay, thank you very much for your testimony, Ms. Johnson. Any additional speakers?
No, Mr. Chair, that is all.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.